G'day guys and girls, and my name is John Michaloudis from myexcelonline.com. I'm pleased that you're here in this free training series about Power Query and data cleansing, and you will not be disappointed. I've partnered up with Soleil, who is an Excel MVP, author of Guerrilla data analysis, and world-leading expert on data cleansing, to bring you this free training which you are going to learn awesome stuff just by sitting at your computer and watching these videos. You become better, faster, and more confident using Excel. This training is for new and intermediate users and people who think they are advanced users. I've decided to make this training for you as I have had hundreds of requests and feedback from within my current course students, which are over 25,000 students as I speak, more than 45,000 blog subscribers, and more than 60,000 podcast listeners. They said to me, "Hey John, when are you going to bring out some awesome Power Query training, as this is a must-have skill in my office?" Well, here it is for you. Most Excel users are thrown in the deep end and without any Excel training and are expected to know how to use Excel. This is the painful reality. When Dawn from marketing gets a promotion into sales position and is given lots of data from the internal accounting system and is expected to analyze and make sense of it, well, she is unable to, as the data was given in a messy format with values as text, dates in reverse order, data with lots of spaces, or just missing data. I'm sure that you come across this at least once per month, if not daily. Well, I really feel sorry for you, but it's not your fault. This is not something that gets taught at college or university or during your initial work training. You're expected to know this stuff, but the reality is that you spend lots of time on the web Googling to try and find the answer. In the meantime, you're losing hours each day trying to get to a solution, wasting valuable time which should be spent on what you're really getting paid for. And that is to analyze and come up with business insights and opportunities to make your boss happy. Let me ask you, if you can change the way you work in Excel using the right features and as a result improve very quickly and save hours each week, would that be something that you will be willing to commit to? If the answer is yes, then continue watching this video and the following free training videos that Oz and I are going to bring you over the next several days. Oz and I are going to teach you how to use Excel's built-in features to clean data and save time each day. Not save 5 minutes here and there, but hours each day. In this training, you're going to learn how to format data into the way that you want without using VBA and macros. Clean up and extract data using formulas and Excel's analytical tools like Go to Special, Text to Columns, Find and Replace, just to mention a few, so you can further your analysis and make insightful business decisions. Learn how to use Power Query, which is the best Excel feature since VLOOKUP. You're going to love this stuff because it's rare that you get free training that will make you improve in a short period of time. Before I pass on to Oz, I've added a bonus video at the bottom of this tutorial explaining how to install Power Query in Excel 2010 and 2013, as well as explain the benefits of using Power Query versus VBA and formulas. If you have any questions, then use the comments area below this video, as we would love to help you out and hear your feedback. Now let's go to Oz for his training.
Right. Thanks, John. Oz du Soleil here, and I've been working with Excel since the early 2000s. And I am currently an Excel Most Valuable Professional, which means Microsoft has recognized me as about 100 people who are skilled at Excel and are committed to building community. I have done training with Comcast and University of Illinois at Chicago's medical school, various nonprofits, and done a lot of speaking engagements. I helped to start Excel TV and was a host there for about a year and a half. So I really love talking about data and Excel. Now, this course is focused on data cleansing. We are going to show you pivot tables, Power Query, various ways to save hours to clean your data to get accurate results from it, to get the analysis that you need, to build the dashboard that you want to build. But I want to share with you why this really, really is a big deal. The big deal isn't the dashboard. The big deal is the information that is providing for a decision that needs to be made. I've often said that my mission is to help end the unnecessary misery that's associated with crap data. That's why we're here, to deal with the unnecessary misery. Yes, your misery of the hours that it could take moving data around in sales, taking a vendor's report and trying to turn it into useful data. But there's even deeper misery. There is customers, businesses that suffer. There's a nonprofit that can't say where $20,000 of a grant went. And they can't apply for another grant until they say where the first $20,000 went. And it's not because somebody's trying to hide something. It's because they can't get the data together just to show that. Misery is in people being paid wrong. Misery is when you can't do any marketing because personal contacts have gotten mixed in with business contacts somehow, and it's hard to peel them apart. So yes, we want to save you time, but I have an interest in helping stay in touch with the real people who have to deal with the consequences that you get to be a hero for. So I invite you to consider a world where data cleansing is much easier. That you can use something like Power Query to automate the data cleansing process, where you can use Excel formulas to peel out data that's all locked in a cell altogether. Imagine getting the time back that's lost. And imagine the people who don't have to call and complain because something has gone wrong, and the root of it is messy data. Messy data comes from a lot of sources, and a lot of times it's not messy data. And we talk about that distinction. There's messy data that does have to be cleaned up, say phone numbers. Some have parentheses, others don't. But then there is flattening files, which means somebody has sent you a report, but it's not useful. QuickBooks is an example. QuickBooks can send you something that doesn't have to be cleansed, but it's got subtotals in it. It's got headers in different locations, and it's built for a human eye to look at. It's not built for extracting data from it. If this world interests you, then please continue watching this video along with the videos that John and I will be forwarding to you soon. Now, here is a pivotal moment from when I started working with data. I had to track professional designations and send out a certificate for people who had completed this curriculum. This happened on a monthly basis, and each month there was this one person who would call, and she would complain, "Why did you send this person's certificate again? Why didn't you send these other two?" She was mad. And there was always the threats of closing the account with us and telling the whole world about how awful we were. And I always, when I researched these things, it always went back to the data. And what was going on? There was a report that would be sent to me each month. And it took me a while to realize that this report is wrong, it's outdated. At one time when the business was much simpler and this curriculum was less complicated, the report was fine. But business rules change, and the report just couldn't handle it. And it was too expensive to build a new report. Because I cared about this lady and this misery that happened to her every month when she just took it as a given that we were going to ruin this, I said, okay, stop sending me that report and I will figure out how to work with the raw data. And that was a lot better. But it was a 3-day process. And it wouldn't be 3 days now. No way. It wouldn't be 3 days. Might be an hour. But back then, there was just a commitment to ending that misery. And it worked. So when the certificates went out, there weren't any duplicates and there weren't missing people. And when that admin noticed that things were going a lot smoother, she thanked me and she called me a friend. And that's why I feel like data cleansing is so powerful, is when she came to appreciate, when she noticed that this misery was gone from her life. She called me a friend.
Power Query is an add-in in Excel 2010 and 2013, and that means you need to go on to Microsoft's website to install the add-in and activate it within Excel. Now, I have a tutorial that shows you how to do this at the bottom of this video, so you can go and have a look at how to do this if you're using Excel 2010 and 2013. Now, if you're using Excel 2016, Power Query is already installed in your Excel workbook, and it's not called Power Query, it's called Get and Transform. So that's under the Data tab, and under Get and Transform group, you can use Power Query from in there. Now, in our tutorials, Oz is going to show us Power Query using Excel 2016, which is also called Get and Transform.
Let's take a quick trip through Power Query, which is also called Get and Transform in Excel 2016. What does Power Query do? Power Query is a powerful data cleansing tool. This is it. There are a lot of very common data manipulation techniques that are needed, and they have been consolidated in Power Query in a really good way. So let's just dive into it. Here we have data that's in a table. So we can start a Get and Transform query from a table. It brings our data right in. And similar to regular Excel, we have this ribbon up top that has several tabs. It's got the File tab, Home, Transform, Add Column, View. We've got a formula bar and our query settings, the properties, and applied steps. Now, these applied steps are really key to what we do because it allows us to automate data cleansing. Also, it allows us to modify our query as our data changes. So here are some highlights. From the Home tab, we can remove columns or remove other columns. That means if I wanted to highlight the date column and the Indian cuisine column, I could go and select remove other columns and then be left with just these two. Also notice there's a removed other column step here with an X, and I'm going to clear that out. Now we're back to our regular data. Here is something that's interesting, is remove duplicates. But if you click on it, it also says keep duplicates. So you have that option, and that's pretty neat. Maybe you had multiple events and you have the list of all of the attendees, and you would like a list of everybody who attended more than one event. We can remove errors. There's our sort, and split column is really exciting because you can split by delimiter or by the number of characters. We can group our data. Here we tell Excel what our data type is, whether that's text, a whole number, time, etc. We can merge and append queries, and you'll see that in the course. Let's go to transform. Here again, group by. We can transpose our table. Here is a handy feature, the fill feature. Fill down, fill up. This helps us close holes in our data sets. Pivot and unpivot, very helpful. We can move columns. We can format, trim, clean, uppercase, lowercase. We can extract bits of data. Here are date and time formats. We can add a column, add a custom column. Here again are our formatting and extracting features. And again, the date and time features that we saw on the Transform tab. View. This is where we can say, do we want to see the formula bar? Yes or no. And the advanced editor, let's click here. This is where code is being written as we go through the steps. Here will be a few quick videos to give you some insight into what Power Query can do for us in cleansing data. And notice I am using Excel 2016. There will be a bonus video showing you how to install it on Excel 2010 and 2013. Here's our first example. We have a list of names. And it'd be nice to know how many times each name is on this list. Let's insert a pivot table. Insert. Pivot table, new worksheet, okay. Names in the rows and names in the values. Now we see we have 3 Ayanas, but there are 2 separate Abrahams. Why are they separate? 2 separate Colts, 2 separate Courtneys. This is not good. What's going on? Let's look here. This one is fine. This top one in row 4 is fine. But we get to Abraham in row 5. There's a space after his name. And that's why Excel is treating this like 2 separate records. Let's clean this up. The data is already in a table, and you can tell that because when I click inside the table, we have the Table Tools Design tab. If I click away, that tab goes away. So click back inside. We're at data from table. There's our data. Now let's highlight this column. Go to transform, format, trim. Notice the steps that are being recorded over here in applied steps. That's going to help us later. So let me X this. And then I will do that again. I will go to format, trim. There's our step. Let's go to home, close and load. Now let's try our pivot table again. Insert, pivot table. Okay. Names in rows. 1 Abraham, 1 Colt. Excellent. That's exactly what we wanted. Put this in values. Now we see that we do have 2 Abrahams. No longer do we have an Abraham and then an Abraham space. Now here is where those recorded applied steps will help us. Notice that we have more names. We had 53 at first. Now we've got 60. Let's go to our old pivot table and refresh. Now we have 2 Abrahams with a space, and we've got 60 names. Let's go back to our new pivot table. With the query, all we have to do is go to Data, Show Queries. Here's our query, and here is the refresh icon. Just click refresh. It updates. Now let's go to the new pivot table. So refresh that. 3 Abrahams, all in one row. So Power Query was able to cleanse the data and record the steps that we took in order to do that cleansing. And when we got more data, refresh. Here are some things that can make you crazy when working with data that came from another source and Excel doesn't know what to do with it. Here, the date is showing 42,626, and this currency is not showing up as a number at all. So if I highlight several of these, down here at the bottom, it's only giving me a count. It should be showing me a sum of those numbers. And one thing you can do to verify if this number is being treated as a number, use is text. Say equals is text. The value, true. This is being treated as text. We can also use equals is number. False. To correct the date, I can highlight the entire column and go to home, convert this as a short date. All right, so now this is showing the 13th of September 2016. I can go into more number formats and convert it to this. I prefer the day, the initials of the month, and then the 2-digit year. Okay, 13th of September 2016. Now there are multiple ways that we can deal with this currency. One way would be to multiply them all by 1. Equals 1 times D2. Now we do have numbers. I highlight, and now I get the sum at the bottom. We could also do text to columns to correct this decimal number. Highlight the entire column, data, text to columns, next, next, finish. That converts the numbers into numbers and not text. Now let's do a Power Query solution. With the data already in a table, go to data, from table, and Power Query has already formatted our number as a number, and we can see by this icon, the 1.2. If we highlight this, here are the different options that this could be formatted as. And let's format this as a date instead of 1, 2, 3. Date. All right. And then we can close and load this to the workbook. And here is our data. I need to change this date again. Highlight. More number formats, date, select, okay. And there is our data ready to be used. Here we're going to look at a Power Query solution for parsing a URL. And we're going to look really at a reason why we would do something in Power Query as opposed to just stay in native Excel. So here are our URLs. Goes down to row 65. This is food, sugar, and the goal is to get the food and the sugar into their own columns. We don't need the HTTP and all of that other stuff. It would be easy enough to do this with flash fill. We could do it like this. Food, color. Now flash fill is bringing the data down to fill in the column. And I can click it and say, okay. But look at what happened. Not everything is a food or a color. Here's a URL for contact, media inquiries, about. Let's not mess with that. Let's go straight to Power Query. I'm going to delete this column. Hey, we have to make our query data from table. First, let's filter out anything that does not have food or color. Okay, text filter, contains, show URLs where it contains food or contains color. Now let's split the URL like we need it to be. Split column by delimiter, custom. It's going to be the /. Let's first do it at the rightmost delimiter. Okay. And let's highlight this column again, and we're going to separate it one more time. At the rightmost, /. Excellent. Let's double click and change the name. Call this category and double click. This is called detail. Can get rid of this column, remove, and let's close and load it to the workbook. We don't have anything that says contact, history, gallery, etc. And from here, we can use this data for whatever we need to use it for. Here is a typical need around cleansing and reshaping data. This looks like this report here came out of QuickBooks. It could have been sent to us from the IT department, but this is a report that's not exactly what we need. But let's look at what's on here. It's got courses, graphic design 1, graphic design 2, painting 1, 2, and 3. It's split by the location. We have downtown and we have north. Student names, what they paid, whether they attended or not. There are totals. We've got empty columns. So G is empty, C is empty, A is empty. And this is fine if we just wanted to eyeball a summary. But what if we wanted to compare downtown location versus north location to compare the attendance? Maybe we want to see who's taken all 5 of the classes that are offered. Maybe we want to compare just graphic design and painting regardless of the level. It's not so easy to get that out of this data the way it is. So we have to do what's called turn this into a flat file. And here's how we're going to do it. This file is called course import, and I'm going to save it onto my desktop. Okay, so it's saved on my desktop. Now I'm going to open another workbook. So this is a brand new blank workbook. Let's save this as course flat file. And I'm going to save that on my desktop as well. So now we've got course flat file. The next thing to do, we have to make a query. So in the data tab, new query, from file, from workbook, and then we navigate to the workbook that we're interested in. And it's called course import. Double click to open it. And now it's asking us to navigate to the sheet that we want. And the sheet data is on the classes tab. Now we get a preview of the data. We don't want to load it yet. We want to edit the query because we need to clean this data up. So we go to edit. So what are some things we need to do? First, let's get rid of column 6. That's completely null. That's one of the blank columns. Okay. Remove. Column 2. Let's look at that. Nothing but nulls here. Okay. So we can right click and remove this column. We don't need any of these rows that have totals in them. We can get totals ourselves. So how do we get rid of these? We go here and we filter. I want to go to does not contain. So we're going to show rows where it does not contain total. The totals are gone. Now we have to fill in these holes where, say, downtown is. We want to have north fill in that column as well. We go right click here, fill down. Good. So north has north in it. Okay. Now let's get rid of this header that says location. We don't need these headers anymore. Anything that says location, unclick it. And we should have the course names filled down as well. Right click, fill down. It looks like we have the data that we need. Now we can load this to the workbook. Close and load. Now we have data that we can do something with. Let's do a simple pivot table. Insert, pivot table. And let's look at, say, location in columns, sum of paid in the values, courses in the rows. All right, so we have downtown, north, we have grand totals. See, painting 2 generated $895 between the two locations, with downtown location generating $550. So we've got the data clean. We've got our flat file. And then what happens? Somebody says, oh, I just added and corrected some data. Okay, but that's not a problem. So we go and we look at the data. Okay, what's happened is somebody has added Southeast, and Southeast offers these 2 courses, and these are the students and all of the relevant data. This could be a problem if we had written a lot of formulas, or if we had manually dragged cells around in order to get to the data that we wanted. But because the data has just been attached to that same worksheet page called classes that our query is pointing to, guess what we have to do? We can just go over here and refresh the query. Refresh. Now it says 54 total rows. And let's scroll down. There is Southeast. And let's go to the pivot table, refresh the pivot table. There is Southeast. Let's do a quick analysis of the students. Insert pivot table. Okay. Name in rows, name in values. Looks like we just have one student, Zelda, who's taken all 5 classes. Let's go to data and do a sort, largest to smallest. These students have taken 3 courses, and let's put location in the columns. So Zelda has taken 2 of her courses north, 3 courses downtown, and none southeast. So we see that by using Power Query, we aren't stopped when somebody sends us a report that's not immediately useful. And if we get a report on a regular basis, it's easy to update. So please comment on this video and let me know what other data challenges you might have around Excel, and I will give you a response. Thanks a lot. What issues are you facing right now at work when you receive data? Let me know by writing in the comment section below this video, and I will respond personally. In the next few days, you'll receive a second video, which will be taught by John Michaloudis. He'll teach you the best formulas to clean and extract your data, and you're going to be surprised by what you see. And let me tell you, it's not the formula that you think it might be. He's also going to show you various analytical tools in Excel that are designed for extracting, moving, and shaping data with the press of a button.